Welcome to Lord Johnlander, the Outlander podcast for Lord John fans, where we talk all things Outlander, but especially about Jaime and his Sassenach.
And sometimes we talk about Claire, too.
We can't promise you much, but for the next half hour-ish, we can promise chaos and to make you question whatever life choices led you to listen to us. Before we get into it, this is your one and only warning that show and book spoilers are lurking around every corner.
We're even going to spoil crap that never happened.
Hello, welcome to Lord Johnlander. We're your hosts. I'm Mistress Pandora. You can call me Pan.
And I'm Beth, otherwise known as J. Sweet Bray.
We forgot to ask ourselves, Beth, do we have any corrections from the last time? I don't think we do. Did we screw anything up last time? Okay, cool. Hey,
probably, but we're just blowing right past it.
We are, because it's episode 107. It's the wedding. And we're going to probably not talk about that, but we're going to see what happens.
Let's be honest. Like, the wedding is probably one of the most talked about episodes in Outlander, right? So, we don't necessarily need to focus on the episode itself in entirety because it's just been done, right?
It's been done. Everyone knows.
We're here to do things differently every time. So we will talk some about the episode, but expect, wild tangents and just skipping ahead like 6-7 books, the usual.
The usual. I hope you guys are expecting the unexpected at this point because, hey, chaos is what we do. So if you did not find us on social media, if you are just getting like your notifications from Spotify or whatever, we did post a link to some prerequisite reading. It's not a lot of reading, but there is a link. It's on Tumblr and it should have been on Twitter as well. But if you have not read that, it's an excerpt of like rough draft. It's like a rough draft from an early draft of Echo in the Bone.
Yes.
If you have not read that, pause right now. We'll wait. It's fine. Go read that. Come back. Okay, we good? Cool.
We good.
All right, so we're gonna talk about that later. I hope you're fuming as much as I was when I first read that. Beth springs it on me, goes, "We should talk about this," and I went, "This son of..." Okay, I'll save this swearing for later.
I had just assumed that you had seen that, so I would have totally eased you into that a little more, use some lube or something. I had no idea you hadn't seen it, so it's a lot to spring on someone.
It is. I take death of the author very seriously.
Yes.
Anywho, so episode 7, the wedding. This is like the one that everyone's been waiting for. Yeah, I guess. I don't even know where to start with this. I guess we could start with the flashback forward to Claire and Frank.
Yes. Yeah. So we've got a lot of weddings to talk about today. So
don't wait.
At the very beginning of the episode, she and Frank are on the way to dinner with his parents, and they stop in front of the courthouse, and he's like, "Surprise! We're gonna get married today."
He asked. He didn't just say we're gonna.
Ironically, not very different from how John proposes to her later.
Right. I mean, she was wearing a great it was like a skirt suit, it was like a suit, like the skirt, that pencil skirt, that fantastic late 30s silhouette. Love that style. But I would like to point out, Frank is the only man. Now, Claire's been married a few times. Frank is the only one she ever married for love.
It's very true.
It's true. Just because it's true doesn't mean people aren't going to be pissed off at me for saying so. I'm used to it by now. It's fine.
It's
love
fine.
You mean it. Still the truth. Frank is the only person she ever married for love.
And, you know, I do have to poke at Frank a little bit here. Yeah, he did ask her, but like, we have to remember that she was like 18 and he was like 27 or something. So I don't know. Obviously, she is an adult, like, she can consent to be married, but I just get such like creepy vibes. And then when you see him like spring this wedding on her on the way to meet his parents, and you think about what I think about what I was like at 18, you know, it's kind of jumping into something pretty quick. Like, she hasn't even met his parents yet. And he wants to just get married immediately. Like,
to be fair, he hasn't met hers either.
well, you had to go there, didn't you?
I did. Why not?
Well, they're supposedly dead, but they're probably off time traveling somewhere. And no, I don't give a fuck what the author says. Let me have my headcanon. People.
Without headcanon, what are we doing here? They are adorable. Like, yeah. They're cute though. But so if you think about it, so yeah, she was a little bit young, but still an adult, and like that age difference was absolutely nothing then. It really wasn't. But it was also like the war looming. This was that was just the thing that people did.
That's true. With the war, that is true. A lot of people just got married.
Keep it in context. If for no other reason than so they could find out if someone they loved had died.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and, you know, to get the benefits after, and I don't mean that in like a greedy way. Like, a lot of people would like, they'd be like, the guy would be like, if, you know, I want to make sure you're taken care of. Yes. So, you know, yeah, so that is part of it, of course. But in the book, they actually get married in Scotland, and I don't think that I think it's planned. I think they actually get married in the same church that she and Jamie get married in.
Oh, so, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so she shows up drunk off her ass and is like,
valid.
like what the hell? So, and I get why that was cut from the show. Like, it was just be too like complicated. I don't know. I mean, I guess they could have done it, but you know, it's fine. But it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. So there is so much. Oh my gosh. We're gonna just be jumping around a whole bunch because I am super scatterbrained today. Because that's a different state of affairs. So we have this. All right, I love the flashback forward though. Frank and Claire were adorable. They were so in love. They were so cute. I was actually, for a moment, I was Team Frank. I know you never are.
Never. But you know, another interesting thing about this episode is that they really filmed kind of like two different versions of it. And I don't even think that, I feel like I remember that the flashback with Frank either wasn't originally planned, or maybe it was like planned for a different part. But like, if you go onto like YouTube, you can search for the deleted scenes, and there's just two very different versions. Not very different, but different enough versions of the wedding. And I think the other version was like they didn't chop the episode up like they did in the other version, or they didn't intend to. But anyway, they made the choice to do it as they did, starting, you know, with the wedding. Well, they start with her and Frank's wedding, and then they go to kind of the kiss, the last part of her and Jamie's wedding. And then later on during their night together, they show the rest of the wedding. So it's kind of a cool
it's kind of a trippy way of putting it together. Like the editing is really interesting. Because it really kind of disorients you and brings it in flashbulbs, which I think is a very cool way of communicating what a daze Claire is in. Like it was just really,
absolutely.
it was really artistic way of showing the point of view. That was really cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So she's already kind of trying to move on from her old life. So like after showing the kiss just real briefly from her and Jamie's wedding, and then she's in their room, and she's got some thinky thoughts.
Yeah. Well, and as she should, right?
As she should. As she should. And she's accidentally gone into polyamory and didn't really mean to. That happens again. This is a theme. You notice this is a theme.
Polyamory is a theme. I agree.
It absolutely is.
I 100% agree. Should we pull that thread?
Let's pull it. Let's do it.
I mean, we could talk about Jamaica.
Oh, God.
Just a fair warning for everyone. I have spent the entire day watching clips of all of Jamie and John's interactions throughout the whole series so that I could have clips to make like videos with. So I'm like, those are fresh in my mind.
Oh, and sharing them on Discord with me, and then be fangirled like crazy people unapologetically. It was the most fun while I'm reading fan fiction, also losing my mind about that.
We've been a little overstimulated today.
a little sugar high.
And speaking of stimulated,
wow, what are we jumping into now?
Well, I mean, let's just, rip the Band-Aid off the awkward first time sex.
Okay, so you used the exact words just now to describe our conversation. The way I was thinking of while I was rewatching the episode, going, Jamie is really going for the rip the Band-Aid off technique here, isn't he? That I hadn't really noticed before, because before it was like, how's this gonna go? Like the first time you watch it, you're like, oh, it's just so sweet and cute. And the second time it's like, holy shit, this is awkward and uncomfortable. And can we play a game or something?
Even rewinding a little bit, like to where he's got her clothes off, but he's still kind of, just the way he reaches out and touches her boob is so just like, I mean, they did a great job, right? Because it's so just like, oh my God, I'm touching my first boob. The look on his face. I think the Jamie Boner scale is just, there's just too much to do every instance of it in this episode, but I think
we'll pick a few.
I think that is a good moment. like when her stays and all of that come off, and he's seeing like her body, like, kind of, even if it's under the shift, like kind of free for the first time, and then he reaches out and just grabs onto that. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'm doing my scientific calculations.
I'm gonna go with like a 7 out of 5.
7 out of 5 penises.
Yes. I mean, that's just, the look on his face is just too priceless. So I think I'm going to take just a moment as I calculate and contemplate what the hell am I doing with my life. So just as a reminder, because it's been a while since we have explained the rules and regulations of the boner scale, which is there are no boners. There are no boners. There are boners. Rules there ain't no rules.
There are no rules. I have a rubric because I'm doing it analytical style. And Beth just kind of goes with however she feels about the boner at that particular point in time. And just our spouses listen to this. This makes me so happy. Okay. So Beth just kind of she's a free thinker, and I like ordering boxes in my life, so I have a spreadsheet to no one's surprise. So you're going with 7 out of 5.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Well, if I round this up to the nearest half penis, I can't. I'm not.
Oh God, we broke Pan today.
We broke Pan. Oh, just directly into pieces. I'm going to give this one a 3.5. 3.5 penises.
What?
The uncomfortable, like, awkwardness of it brought the hotness down for me to like a 1.
I see that. I see that.
Super great timing. Super appropriate. A little bit funny. And I even gave him some points on stamina because it's been a long fucking day.
They've been talking in the room for hours.
They go in for a kiss, and she's like, "Tell me about your mom." So you've got to give him credit on stamina. You got to give him stamina points for that one because think about baseball. Oh boy.
Then I think my next favorite part is when he says, "If I need guidance, I'll ask," trying to be all like taking command, and then he immediately needs guidance like seconds later.
Oh, I'm dying here. Hold on. Okay, so if I need guidance, I'll ask. Immediately needs guidance. He's trying so hard. Like his face this whole episode is just absolutely precious.
He's precious. There's nothing. I mean, there's no other way to say it.
He's so precious. And he's trying so hard to be like suave and confident because he thinks like that's his job here. And it's not working. Nobody's fooled.
Well, Claire knocks him down a peg about who's in charge the next time they do it. So
boy, are we skipping around. Yes, that is.
Yeah, sorry.
No, we're good.
Although, before we go too far ahead, so Jamie claims that he thought you did it the back way, like horses. But I say, is it the horses or is it Pierre that made him think that you do it the back way?
I'm thinking it was probably horses, like as a curious kid, like because they didn't talk about sex, obviously, and not in any sort of helpful, informative, educational way, obviously. But I would imagine like curious kid growing up on a farm, seeing animals do what animals do to make more animals, and then having his having what knowledge he has confirmed by his time with Pierre. So
that makes sense.
Right? Because it would be just because Pierre was he was just a tiny bit older than Jamie when they were together at the university. And like he was like that sweet, not tutor makes it sound weird.
Right. But he was
like,
more experienced.
He was a little bit more experienced.
Sex guru.
Once again, blame the French. But Pierre is the answer to how did you learn to kiss like that? Because he was a very good teacher. Very good teacher. Oh, Pierre.
Anyway.
So speaking of Jamie's face this whole episode, his face when Claire just keeps chugging booze was just like, I felt really bad for him.
I know.
Felt really bad for him because he was like, he looked crushed.
I know. Like
he looked absolutely crushed. And he felt really bad because like she seemed scared. And really, she's just going through it right now, man. And, like,
yeah. I mean, he doesn't know the half of it, right? And
he has no idea.
But
of course, he's so nervous. He thinks it's him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. And, I think, obviously, Jamie doesn't, have much experience in the way of wedding nights and stuff. But, I think that he expected her to be a lot more like, all right, let's do this, because she's been married before. And to him, I think he's still thinking about sex as in like just doing it, and not, you know, the making love, the, you know, the connection, the intimacy. He hasn't
he's
yet
thinking of satisfying a contract.
It. Right. So he just kind of, I think, assumes that she's a widow. She probably hasn't had sex in a while. I don't know. And she's going to be ready to go. Although at the same time, he did get quite a talk from Myrta and Ned and I think Rupert, I think it was, the night before, about how women do not generally care for it. So,
we'll get. Oh, Lord have mercy.
Oh.
I need a fan fiction where someone brings like actual sex ed to the 18th century. Just improves everyone's lives.
Oh, God.
I do think, though, before we get too far into the episode, I think we need to take a moment. That dress.
Oh, gorgeous.
The cut of that dress did good things for the ladies.
Yes. And we ladies appreciate it.
We ladies appreciate it a lot.
It was gorgeous. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole episode until she gets, you know,
it's just naked. It's beautifully shot. And then there's beautiful, we'll call it scenery.
Yes. Well, you know, there's leaves all over the dress, so we can also like. Oh, yeah. There's the leaves, there's the forest, and then the mountains.
There we go. Her own personal highlight.
Oh God.
This is a fun half hour.
Someone's gonna roast us for this.
I don't give a shit. I've been roasted for less. It's fine. Whatever.
So yeah, all right. So
should we try to steer this crazy train back onto the rails, or shall we just continue to go into the ditch?
I think we should just keep
going into the gutter.
Keep our feet on the gas. Like, it's just
no. The brakes are out and we don't care. Okay. So I'm just we actually did prep work for this, y'all. I swear we did. I keep going back to our list of notes and like freaking knows. Okay. I did want to make this point because it's kind of related to like I'm going to go back to his face while she continues chugging booze and he's trying to, you know, make her feel more comfortable. There's a lot of really cool insight into Jamie's character in this episode.
Yeah.
So much of it. You can kind of see in how he's trying to reassure her that there's no reason for her to be afraid of him, that she can trust him. He kind of looks like he's kind of got the face of a big guy who people are always afraid of. And like the one person he doesn't ever want to scare, he thinks is afraid of him. And it's kind of breaking his little heart. And I wanted to hug him.
I know.
I'm like, no, she's not scared of you. She's having a crisis.
she's got a lot going on right now.
She's got a lot going on. But it was funny. Also, he kept trying to toast with the whiskey and she just got drowned down in the glass.
But also, I mean, so this is one of the places where show Jamie is a lot different than book Jamie, because show Jamie is like the 18th century consent king. Like,
yes.
And I'm not going to go down this path, but book Jamie is not. But I have to wonder, I think that is probably, well, I'm sure part of the influence is from his father. Like his father just seems like that would be something he would have taught him. But also, I'm sure with Pierre, because again, Claire has Pierre to thank for a gentle wedding night, because you know, a lot of guys in the 18th century would have just
so much.
Yeah. Especially when there was like a deadline, right?
Yeah.
So yay Pierre. And yay Brian Fraser, because I'm sure that was part of it too.
I think you're roasted for that too, but that's all I'm going to say about it. That's all.
What's that?
We're going to get roasted for talking nice about Brian too, but I'm cool with it. I like Brian. So
people
another
don't
thing,
like Brian?
People don't like Brian.
Who doesn't like Brian?
He spanked his children in the 18th century.
Oh.
So that's all I can tell. Anyway.
Anyway, all right. Yeah, we won't go there. Okay.
We're not going there tonight. But where we can go. So this, there was a line that, yes, I'm about to make this about the Scottish prisoner. Because I can do that. It's our freaking podcast and I'm crazy. That book drives me insane. Okay, so I'm going to try to keep this to 5 minutes or less. There is a line towards the beginning of this episode, when he is explaining to Claire that she has his name and his family and his clan, and if need be, the protection of his body as well. So in the Scottish prisoner, towards the end, he does this for John too. He doesn't say that's what he's doing for John, but when I feel like, have we talked about this on the show before?
I don't think so.
Whatever, who cares? I'll repeat myself because it bears repeating. It drives me insane. Towards the end of the Scottish prisoner, when John and Jamie are dating and they don't know it, and 12 Trees accuses them of sleeping together, because of course they are. And Jamie says his great line, and I'm paraphrasing. I know I'm paraphrasing, but he basically says, "Hey, nobody calls my boyfriend gay but me." And then proceeds to force 12 Trees to call him out for a duel in order to protect John. And then later, I'm going to make this about Hal too. God damn it. So then,
yes.
Shut up. So later, Hal gets very upset about this because, you know, Jamie's not exactly a free man, and he doesn't have the right to challenge people to duels and do all this stuff. And so he is trying to block Jamie from actually fighting the duel with 12 Trees, and Jamie's not happy about it. And Jamie says a lot of stuff that kind of more or less you can boil down to, fuck you, I do what I want.
And then Hal's like, fuck around and find out.
Yeah. And then John's like, I did already. So all I'm trying to imply here, by stating it very clearly with no room for argument, is that in this moment in the wedding, John can't keep them straight. Neither can they.
That's what she said.
That's what they all said.
That's what he said.
Where the fuck was I? Oh, so in this, I'm sober as a judge too. Okay, so in this moment in the wedding, Jamie is explaining to Claire all the ways that he is protecting her and taking care of her and doing all of these things that a loving husband would do. Meanwhile, that's just a given of how he treats John and how John treats him. So I repeat, Jamie and John at the end of The Scottish Prisoner are freaking married.
They're 100% married. I mean, the trip to Ireland was their honeymoon, and so it totally makes sense, you know? I'm
losing my flippin' mind.
Oh.
That was it. That's what I wanted to say. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of similarities. The way Jamie and John get married is very similar to the way Jamie and Claire get married, and the way that John and Claire get married is very similar to the way that Claire and Jamie get married. Ha ha!
It's all coming together. It's
all coming together.
It's all just connections and
Picasso,
parallels. Parallels. I know, it's like, for an author who has been pretty adamant in her commentary on her books that Jamie is not bisexual, she sure does draw a lot of parallels between Jamie and Claire's relationship and Jamie and John's relationship. I mean, I'm just saying.
The parallels are, I can't with the parallels. Especially if we stick strictly to the books on that, like even down to how similar John and Claire are in like physical appearance. They're the same height.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Similar
Absolutely.
build. Mm-hmm.
Except John is blonde in the book, which we do not recognize a blonde John Grey. Okay, that's just no.
But I like the height difference between him.
I do like the height difference.
I love it. Of course, being an Irish wolfhound, and it makes me happy. So should we, since we're here, since we're at Crazy Ass Station, should we talk about John and Claire's wedding?
Absolutely. And the first parallel is that John marries her to protect her. Because she's like passing out flyers or doing some
wanted by the British.
She's doing some spy shit.
British for being a spy. It's the same song and dance all over again. You'd think she'd learn.
She never does. Oh God. But she's a hot mess. And so, we have the required reading, and then of course there's what actually goes down in the published book. And in the published book, it's the proposal still has a nice humor to it, where John's just like, marry me.
You're going to do this.
And then Claire's like, what? Blah, 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 you're crazy. And John's like, you will be marrying me today.
He kind of Lieutenant Leonard's her.
He what?
He kind of Lieutenant Leonard's her.
Yes, he does. John the Authority Grey.
It works though.
And then also in the books, what was I going to say?
It's kind of a shotgun wedding.
Yes. And holy shit. Oh, in the books, in Outlander, the book, Claire actually faints at the wedding after Jamie and Dougal spring the blood oath on her. And I'm going to have a sidebar about that in a second. But and then the day of her wedding to John, she also faints, not right at the wedding, but like he actually gives her like this medical chest as a wedding gift, and it's just I love him.
He's so
but Claire faints. So
there's a lot of fainting in the
these
books.
people love fainting. All right, so
worthy.
Oh shit, what was my sidebar? I can't even think tonight.
The blood oath.
Oh, the blood oath. Okay, people, if you want to use the you are blood of my blood, bone of my bone, if you want to use that in your wedding, like go for it. I support you. I think, people have theme weddings. People use stuff from fandom and TV shows in their weddings all the time. But please, for the love of freaking God, stop calling it a traditional Gaelic wedding oath, because it is not. Diana made it up. Okay? Diana
She
made it up.
And it is a great verse. It's fantastic. We love it.
Beautiful.
It's really poignant and beautiful, but it's not traditional. It is not at all.
And there isn't even actually like a Gallic translation for it out there. Like, it's, I mean, you could translate into Gallic, but like, it was just written by Diana in English. And, so please stop calling it traditional Gallic wedding vows. If I see it again, I might lose my shit.
Y'all will never know about it. Well, I mean, y'all might, but can we stop singing the Skyboat song at our weddings, please?
Oh my fucking God. Why? Not people.
A romantic song.
People, this song is about the Rising, where the fucking Scottish people were defeated, and then like they tried to wipe them out. Like, stop.
We broke Beth too.
So wedding things are like my pet peeve. I have like some very specific things. I won't go into some of the others because they're not Outlander related, but
specific.
I just have this thing about inconsistencies or whatever you want to call it at weddings. So yeah, please do not have the Skyboat sung at your wedding. And
I mean, we could, I guess. It's not really appropriate.
It's not appropriate at all.
That was fun. So
anyway,
how much of the reading do we want to talk about?
Well, so I think we got to dive into it a little bit, right? At least
a little. So to kind of paraphrase, now I've only read it the one time and I was losing my mind the whole freaking time. So I'm going to let Beth take the lead on most of this. But in the original version of this scene, they don't get married right away when they find out that Jamie has died. I guess I should say that his ship sank because obviously he got better. But she ends up spending 2 months, like they spend 2 months apart, like they don't talk to each other at all. And she's kind of in a daze, like just really miserable. And he is too, presumably. And he finds out later that she's about to be arrested.
Right.
And comes to her with like
time that passes.
Yeah. And comes to her with like kind of like this business proposal is how he kind of approaches it. Like he's going through like all the benefits. Like I'm sorry. Is marrying Lord John that hard of a freaking sell?
I know, right?
Is it that hard of a sell?
Even like, I mean, even going in eyes wide open, knowing everything, I would still say yes. 100%.
I mean, I would probably do the way I heard you wrong. I'm sorry, what? That's completely reasonable.
Yeah.
But arguing, not so much. Well, okay, before I get to the thing that made me lose my flippin' shit, what would you like to discuss about the reading?
So I just think, even though he's presenting it to her, he's appealing to her logic here, right? And he's kind of treating her like a live bomb, right? And he's trying to like very carefully like diffuse the bomb while he's trying to get her to say yes to this. And I have no doubt in my mind that had she refused him, he basically would have kidnapped her and forced her anyway.
with the most gentlemanly of intentions.
Yes.
But yeah.
But he's
going her over his shoulder.
He's going through all these benefits and really trying to appeal to her logic, but I still feel like a tenderness between them, and maybe I don't know, maybe I'm just reading into it too much, but I think the one part that really kind of got me, she says, you don't even care. Let me get to it. Hold on. Oh, it's funny. She says, you're keeping me as a package of some sort that Jamie left for safekeeping. Yeah. And it's a bomb. And John is trying to defuse it.
It is ticking, and he's trying not to get his face blown off.
I cannot find the part that I
so
really.
While you're looking for it, while you're scrolling,
go ahead.
I had a thought while you were talking just now that there's kind of a tenderness between them. It's kind of one-sided, I think, at this point still. So the situation is really interesting because I would argue that anyone who says Claire is not a jealous person has never read the freaking books. And anyone who says John is not a jealous person has never read the freaking books. And so is Jamie. My God, they're volatile.
Oh yeah, people. They're all jealous.
They're so volatile, but it works. I love it. It's delicious. But there's this case in point. So I don't freaking remember which book. I read them so fast so long ago. One of the books prior to all of this, obviously, Claire says some snarky stuff to Jamie about John, like making fun of how well read he is. Lady, you're a surgeon.
Yeah.
But like it's just very catty. But then also like the epitome of cattiness is through most of the Lord John series. He doesn't think of Claire's name. He knows her name and will never like say it even to himself. She's the woman. She's that woman. That woman.
That woman.
Or Jamie's wife dripping with disdain. And it's just it's so human. I just eat that crap up. But at this point, like this is kind of, he breaks first at least in this version of it. And in the final version too, he kind of does as well, but he breaks first. He's the first person in the three of them. Well, no, he's between him and Claire. We'll go with that. Between him and Claire, he's the first person to kind of break and concede that this is not getting them anywhere.
Yeah.
So he kind of makes the first move toward them reconcile. Well, reconcile is not the right word because they were never like on the same side. Coming to an agreement, an arrangement, an understanding, finding mutual respect. There we go. Yeah. He makes the first move.
Okay. I found what I was looking for. So good. Claire says, what are you doing? It's not like you care about me or my feelings, and he's like, actually, like, she said, you don't have any regard for me as a person, which, considering what we just talked about, I think she probably has some reason to think that. But then he says, actually, no, if you were anyone else, I would just have you, kind of safely put away somewhere, and made sure you were seen to. I think that's pretty meaningful. And he kind of explains in the next paragraph or so that, part of it is that he can be honest with her. And he's like, it'd be kind of nice to spend my life with someone who I can just be honest with. And we've talked about this in one of our last episodes where they talked to where John talks about how like Jamie and Neil the Cunt are the only people that he can be 100% himself with. And he also has Claire, and that Jamie's gone and they can be a comfort to each other in that way. I mean, it's not a declaration of, having fallen in love with her, but I think as he points out, like there's marriages that don't have even that honesty. And if you think about it, that's another parallel to Jamie and Claire's wedding, because when they're talking in their room that night, Jamie says like, I won't ever make you tell me something that you're not comfortable sharing, but I think we need to have honesty between us. And John feels the same way with Claire. And then very much, Claire being a very sensual person, John reaches out and takes her hand. And that's kind of what like softens her a little bit to it.
Yeah.
Because she says like one of the thoughts that she had was no one will ever touch me again.
Mm.
And she feels like, I can, if I can't, have what I had with Jamie with anyone else, at least I can have something. At least, I can have somebody to hold my hand and be honest with, and who understands my grief. And this whole thing, she really, and this is where you're going to get to your part that made you go wild. She really recognizes John for his importance in Jamie's life. And at the end of this here, she says to John, so I should just marry you out of your like misguided sentimentality. And he says to her, how would you like it if I called your love for, your grief or whatever, just sentimental? And she's like, oh, like she gets it.
He was real hurt. He was real hurt that she said that. And as he should have been.
Yeah, exactly. So you go ahead.
I've been scrolling up and down and like having a hard time focusing my eyes on words. But there is a point kind of towards the beginning of this where Claire thinks of John as her husband's lover. And that is a freaking quote, people.
Yep.
Frankly, that should have been.
It says, what went unspoken was the thought foremost in my mind. For another, you're my dead husband's lover, unrequited or not.
Or not. That's an important or not. Oh, they fucked in Ireland.
I don't think Claire ever truly is 100% sure that nothing happened between Jamie and John.
Not. And you know what? To be freaking honest, the way he carries on in Bees, I'd be even less sure.
Oh God,
I'd be even less sure.
Oh God. And just something, and I know this is like a draft, so like, I don't want to get too into parsing words, but she says, my dead husband's lover. So she's thinking of John as Jamie's lover. So then she says unrequited or not. So I'm like, so is she saying that John could be Jamie's unrequited lover? Because that's very different than Jamie being John's unrequited lover. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And again, you can't think too deeply.
It's a rough draft.
But it's there. And I think Claire, I think Claire from very early on in meeting John, Voyager season 3, I think she recognizes Jamie's feelings for John.
She saw them kissing.
I know. Oh.
She saw them kissing. Of course she thinks there's something else going on. Why the hell else did she lose her freaking mind? Oh my God. Why would you get, like, okay, she's an emotional person. I'll give her that. But like, why would you fly that far off the freaking handle over a hug?
Right.
Come on.
Exactly.
Come on. I can't. We're not there yet. We have 2 more seasons.
And I can't wait though for season 3, because not only, does she fly off the handle, some of this is more shown in the book, but on that same night, when she has that conversation with John, they are so catty with each other.
Oh my God, and it's amazing.
I'm like so bummed that we didn't get that on screen, because it is like gloriously catty. I love it so
David
much.
and Katrina could have pulled that off. Oh my God, they could have pulled that off.
And Here's the thing. Claire's a very confident woman.
Mm-hmm.
She could have chosen to not, she could have chosen to just think of John as like, just not even worthy. Yeah.
Not
And just, but she either she can't or she chooses not to, because she 100% sees him as a threat.
If you're so confident in the
Right.
person that you were apart from for 20 years, why for the feely feels and the thinky thoughts? Why?
Of course, there is the whole little part where Jamie like doesn't tell her that he's married to the woman that tried to have her killed, and you know, and then so she kind of like loses her trust a little bit. So
details, schmeetails.
But in that same vein, like she still could have chosen to not see John as a threat, because if she was confident that Jamie is heterosexual, especially. And she's just not.
She's not confident. Hey, should we maybe get back to Jamie and Claire's wedding? You know what? I'm just gonna do.
Yes,
we're like 25 minutes in. So I'm just gonna throw it out there. Speaking of people who are totally fucking off screen, Rupert and Angus, and you can't change my mind. Just let that mental image burn your eyeballs. Just think about it.
I don't want to.
Think about it. Rupert and Angus. Where one goes, the other always follows. They're not related by blood. They're just good friends, really.
And they, we know where that leads on this show. Good friends like John and Jamie, like Frank and the Reverend, like Uncle Lamb and
Peruse, or Ned.
Or Ned. Yeah, you know, so. Oh, God. Can we talk about Ned in the whorehouse?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
You know, I think this episode, there's so much like drama and like it's a love story and it's the wedding and all of this. But like there are so many like wonderfully funny moments.
Funny little moments.
Like Ned is just like.
For the win. Ned for the win. Pour one out for my man Ned.
Oh my God, the look on his face, and then he takes out that bag of coins and like
I was offering you some entertainment. He's trying so hard. He's trying so hard to stay like business. Like I'm here on business. Like it's stupid business. I'm buying a dress at a brothel, but that's what I'm here for. And he's trying so hard, and there's just like tits everywhere. He can't. He's looking at everything but faces, and it's amazing.
He is an icon. He is an icon.
And then that adorable kid in a candy store look when the business is done and he can stop holding it in.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Absolutely priceless. Ned, we love you. Oh my goodness.
And then another, I guess this isn't a funny moment, but like it's a cute moment when Jamie and Myrta are talking, and you know, we know so much about Myrta now, but like, you know, I think that he was really in the background a lot.
Yeah. You mean to the point in the stable?
Yeah. To the point where for the entire, like almost the entire first season, every time Murtaugh came on the screen, my husband was like, "Who's that again?" And I was like, ah. But anyway, and you know, he's the original Jamie Claire shipper.
Yeah.
You know, and he's being all his gruff and grumpy self, and Jamie asks, you know, if he thinks that his mother would, if Murtaugh thinks his mother would approve, and you know, first he's kind of gruff about it, but then he says that she has the sweetest, a smile as sweet as Jamie's mother's smile. And
It's
I'm just
so
like,
cute.
I just melt.
Myrta loves his Mackenzie women.
Absolutely.
He's so
we can get
unlucky.
into that more later.
He's a sweetheart.
I know.
He's
just so devoted, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Completely.
Love it.
But I did love that sweet moment between Jamie and Myrta. I love those where he really is Jamie's godfather.
Yeah.
You know, I really love to see that dynamic between them.
Yeah, and you really don't see, I mean, you see it a little bit, but you don't see them together a lot, or just having conversations, the two of them, until this point. So you really get to see that bond.
And you don't, like, there's not a whole lot of it. Like, there's not a whole lot of Myrta in the books. There's way more Myrta in the show, which is the best There I Fixed It ever.
Yeah.
But what the showrunners did to Myrta's character is my favorite change.
Absolutely.
Not that I didn't 100%. Like him in the book, but I liked him in the book because I already loved him from the show.
And he was so much more taciturn in the book. Like, he really just kind of blended in the background quite a bit. Although in Bees, Jamie thinks about him a whole bunch, just because of memories of like Culloden and stuff. But
Jamie thinks about a lot of things in Bees, and all of it is from like 20, 40 years ago. Man hasn't never processed a thing in his life. But that's a conversation for a completely different day.
We don't have time for that.
We don't have time to talk about his trauma bucket and how it's overflowing.
His trauma bucket.
Yes. Trauma bucket. The trauma bucket will return.
What else should we talk about? Because I know we're already like at the half-hour mark, or almost there anyway.
You know what? If this is a long episode, if this ends up being 45 minutes or 2 parts, I don't care. We have a lot left.
You know, I know. Dougal is an absolute creep this entire episode. Absolute creep.
Where do I start?
You could start with the not rape persuasion.
No, dude! Fucking, that's not how that works. It's still rape. Okay. We're not here for me to give a primer on consent and healthy sexual relationships. However, Dougal has never had one in his life. Clearly.
No. Absolutely not.
But if you have to if you gotta pester somebody into bed with you, that's not consent, man. That's not consent. Just saying. I don't think you've thanked me properly.
Oh my God.
That line he says to Jamie?
Yeah. And then he makes the comment about giving him something else to stick his cock into besides the Phillies.
And I'm not going to get into my running joke about the horses, because it's not like that may be a bridge too far for this particular episode, and it would detract from the point, which is, okay, so we have talked a few times about how Jamie has been groomed by his uncles in a number of ways, and this is one of them. Yeah. So Jamie really didn't have a lot of choice in this at all. It worked out for him. Yay. Yeah. Plot convenience. But if it had been somebody else, if it had been a different woman, if it had been a different situation, Jamie still would have been in the same situation with the same amount of no choice. And what happens to him, his future, his body, and Dougal expects a thank you. Yeah. So, like, Jamie and Claire could have gotten to this point on their own. They absolutely could have.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
I mean, it would be a little challenging if she had run away and gotten to Inverness and gone to Crichnadoon and gone back through the stones early to go back to Frank. That would have complicated their love story just a tiny bit, maybe cut it short.
Just a little bit.
just a little bit. But if they had... he expects a thank you. He's taking away more of Jamie's choice for the rest of his and or Claire's natural life, has taken away his choice. And
he's also taken away his ability to become the Laird, which is one of his primary reasons for,
for doing this successor.
Right, exactly, because nobody is going to, no
one's going to accept someone with a Sassenach wife.
Exactly. Thank you, because I can't speak tonight.
Apparently, I can speak way too much. But yeah, and in fact, he just I took away your choice for the rest of your life, and you owe me a thank you. Is so freaking twisted. So freaking twisted.
And you know what else is twisted about it too is the way he's like, you have to consummate the marriage. I don't want any secret deals between you. It has to be done. And it's like, you're being a little weird about, because honestly, who the fuck would know? If they just got naked and then Jamie went down, you know what I mean? Like, right. Nobody would know.
They could have faked it.
Like, it's really weird how he is so freaking insistent that they have sex.
He's so insistent, and it's just more of that he controls Jamie's body thing that's so icky. It's just so freaking wrong. And if you're not thinking about it in those terms and putting into the context of everything else that happens to Jamie because of Dougal or as a result of all of this grooming, if you just look at it out of context, it's just kind of a weird, not nice thing to say. But when you put it in context, right. It's really abusive.
Yeah.
And then later, when Claire meets Dougal downstairs in the dark, and she's just wrapped in Jamie's kilt, that's not how you want to meet this man. And he says, just because you're married to Jamie now, don't let it stop you from sampling other pleasures. Gag. Oh,
dude,
what?
And then he has that angry white man outburst after she says no, and then punches poor Rupert in the face.
Right.
Dude,
because
go punch
she was
a tree.
Being nice to Rupert. Not only does Dougal believe very firmly that he owns Jamie's body, but now he thinks he owns Jamie's wife and Rupert too, apparently, because Rupert's his personal punching bag tonight because he just feels like it. And okay, he had just come back from talking to Captain Randall, and that's a stressful ass meeting. But still,
it's
punch your nephew or cousin or whatever they are.
Cousin or whatever he is.
They share a freaking last name.
Well, I think that Dougal has so many weird sexual hang-ups himself that he's like a child. I mean, if you want to say Jamie doesn't process anything in his whole life, Dougal is Jamie looks like looks like he's been through 20 years of therapy compared to
so healthy. He looks so healthy compared to his uncle.
So anyway, I was just saying is, Dougal he's got all these whatever he's sexual weird hang-ups or whatever, and doesn't process anything. And he's just got this he's just so he got Jamie to marry Claire, and then he's just so angry about it because he wants Claire too, and just has to have his little hissy fit. I don't know. He's just ugh, dude. Troubled man.
Very. Yeah, he's peak creepy. He's peak creepy in this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. And there'll be more opportunities to talk about his creepiness in later episodes, because
until the day he dies.
Yeah, exactly. This weird jealousy slash anger slash whatever. I mean, he
It's
just
strange. It's a strange possessiveness.
Well, and I think, oh God. So I think part of it is that he definitely didn't expect them to hit it off.
Yeah.
So even that very first night when Claire's like, I'm Jamie, like she doesn't just say, no, you creep, back off. She says, I'm Jamie's wife. Like already this shit has backfired, because he's already realizing that Jamie and Claire are connecting.
Yeah.
And that's what he didn't want to happen.
Yeah. Oh, no, exactly. Because it doesn't serve his purposes if they're happily and truly married.
Yeah.
That was a good insight. I hadn't thought about that.
Like, came into my head like poof.
Divine inspiration. Love it.
All right.
So after that sweet little chat with Uncle Dougal, I feel like we've missed some boner scale opportunities.
Probably.
We did, because we were going to circle back around to how she takes charge.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And like Jamie discovers he's got a biting kink.
And he gets his first BJ, and he's just, well, okay.
First from a woman.
Yes. He's just in heaven, and it's adorable.
He is. He looks like he saw God.
And then like the way he just like passes out immediately afterwards. I'm like, oh, the cute little lad is all tuckered out. But can we talk? Okay. This show has been praised so much for the female gaze, right? And I think it deserves.
Yeah.
I think it deserves all those accolades, right? Like, it really, in a lot of ways, is a groundbreaking show for the way it portrays sex. However,
comma.
The one thing where it's both the book and the show fail, I think, is Claire's totally unrealistic orgasms. Completely unrealistic.
Completely agree with you.
Everyone's
different. Everyone's body is different. However, if here we go, let's do it. I hate the thought of women watching or reading this and feeling themselves like physically inadequate because they don't experience an orgasm within 3 minutes.
Yeah.
That's not realistic.
No, it's not at all. I mean, I'm sure there's some people that can, but it's very rare. In fact, so there's a book called She Comes First by Ian Kerner. And it talks a lot about female sexuality, but it's a book written for men. But it's about helping men understand how female bodies work, and why there's such kind of a disparity between the way that men understand female sexuality. So it says here that he's actually quoting Kinsey. 75% of men ejaculate within 2 minutes. So that means that if you are talking, and I'm just going to go there, if you are talking about orgasms from penetrative sex alone, which is what is happening in this second sex scene. You have to be able, the woman would have to be able to orgasm within 2 minutes of penetrative sex. And I mean, on the screen, it's probably, I don't even think it's that long.
It
It's
is
probably
not
like
that long.
30 seconds. And it also says that men reach, well, this is kind of duh, but men reach orgasm during intercourse far more consistently than women. So 3/4 of men will orgasm during intercourse, but less than a third of women always have orgasms. So less than a third. However, if you give women, if there is 21 minutes or longer of foreplay, only 7.7% of women fail to reach orgasm.
So I haven't read
all that
book.
to say.
Yes, all that to say, this is not real life. This is a show, and yeah, there's some cinematography. They have to compress it for the show. Put something that you said to me while we were chatting on Discord earlier today. The fic writers really do all the heavy lifting.
They are. I mean, you gotta applaud the fic writers, right? They're out there really trying to show,
just really getting in there and like getting their hands dirty.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them are showing much more realistic representations of female sexuality than is in the show or the book.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, there's obviously some that aren't, but you know, because the book, like I said, the book is the same way. So I understand in a TV show, you've got to keep it, you know, you can't have it be X-rated and
right.
And stuff.
There's limits.
But even in the book, she's the same exact way. Like, you know, Jamie's in and she's done in 30 seconds, you know.
Bam, bam. Thank you.
So it's just not realistic. So as much praise as they get for the female gaze, and I give them all that credit, the way that they portray Claire being able to orgasm that quickly from penetrative sex is just completely unrealistic. And, you know, I think there's a lot of, just from my experience, like on Twitter and stuff, like, I think there's a lot of younger viewers who might not be as sexually experienced. And I would hate for them, because they put Jamie and Claire on such a pedestal for being this ideal couple, and they have this special connection that, you know, when they touch or when they have sex together, they have this special feeling that Claire's never felt before. You know, I would hate for these, especially these more inexperienced younger viewers, to think that
this is the gold standard. Like this is
that's
normal,
like,
and
right.
It's a reasonable expectation.
And if you love somebody, if you're true soulmates, like, you know, that's how it should be and stuff like that. So I just, and this is the first instance that we see it. So it kind of got my hackles up a little bit thinking about it. So.
Yeah. So like it's not a reasonable expectation of yourself or your partner.
No.
So just like, if that's not been your personal experience, we are here to tell you that you are not broken. We have absolutely zero qualifications to say that other than our own personal experiences. I'm not a sex therapist.
Nope.
But this is not, but we've read a little bit. And that's not something to think that there's something wrong with you if this is not your experience with sex.
And if you're trying to convince a partner in your life that it's unrealistic, you could show them this book and let them learn a little bit more about this, so that there's kind of an understanding.
So that one is She Comes First by Ian Kerner. And another one that's related, actually, I'm just looking at like, you know how they do the praise blurbs on the front of the cover of the books. That author actually on this one's called Come As You Are by Emily Nagoski.
I've
This is
heard
a
of
good
that one. I haven't read it, but
it kind of goes into the science of it a bit. It explains why we are the way we are and how it works and what the science says. So those are not sponsored book recs, but book recommendations nonetheless.
Just something important we needed to talk about.
Yes. I would say that last shot in the show, so going straight back to the show, that last shot with Frank's ring when she accidentally drops it out of her dress, with the her reflection in the ring itself as she drops it and she's going to pick it up, that cinematography was absolutely beautiful.
So good. So good. I love every time I see it, I'm like wow.
The camera work was amazing. The editing is amazing. The effects, I really enjoyed that. Oddly enough, that was probably my favorite part of the whole episode. Because I'm a nerd. And I was getting angry about other things. But that part I could enjoy. Did we miss anything?
It's beautiful. I don't think so. I think we covered it all. Oh, we have to do our fic rec.
Yes. Okay. So we were kind of, I'm not going to say, I'm just going to come out and say it. So the fic rec this week, I made an executive decision, is Every Impossible Move by J. Sweetbraid. That's right. Beth wrote this one. I had not started reading it until today, actually. My brain tends to work on a one-way street when it comes to stories. And I sat down, and in the first scene, I was absolutely freaking hooked. And I literally spent hours today just reading this. Trying really hard to be a productive citizen and not succeeding in the slightest. And I will tell you, so I haven't quite finished it yet. It starts off so poignant and sweet and fluffy, and you have all of the good things that you want, and then the angst hits. Holy shit, it hits you with a shovel. It's so good. And I have every hope, and I have implicit trust that I'm going to love the ending.
When you write it.
So
I have one chapter left. So it's going to happen.
Yeah. Real talk. You cannot rush this kind of art. You can't rush this. I'm going to say it. I'm not speaking for Beth. I'm speaking for Pan. If I see one comment after this episode, why isn't this finished? Why'd you rack a whip? Don't hassle the author. Just say how much you love it and how excited you are for the stunning conclusion, because it's coming when she gets to it, and you can't rush this kind of art. It's amazing. Oh. If you have not started it, please go start it. Every Impossible Move, it is linked in the social media. It's fantastic.
Thank you so much. Yeah, because
I'm going to keep shouting at you, by the way.
I was because we were trying to find fics where
the whole point.
where Jamie and John get married or hand fast or what have you, and there's really not a lot. And I said, I was like, I don't want to, we just wrecked one of my fics a few episodes ago. I don't want to do that again. And Pan started reading it, and she was like, no, we're wrecking this one.
This is it. This is the one. Chapter, I'm not going to spoil too much of it, but the hand fasting is beautiful. The parallel between the show and the fic is just phenomenal. You will as soon as you get there, you'll completely understand why we're recommending a Jamie John. Of course, we're recommending a Jamie John fic for 107. Duh. But if you want to read Jamie and Claire get married, read the book. I figure you already have. So it's so good. And I'm currently being wrecked by the angsty bit, and I'm kind of living in the moment, because as soon as we're done recording, I'm probably going to read some more.
So the reason I wrote that fic in the first place is very intentional, because I wanted to explore, Jamie in the books, Jamie marries Leary, but it's pretty easy for him to just walk away from that because he doesn't love her. And I really wanted to explore what it would be like if Jamie found love and happiness and safety and security in those 20 years when Claire came back.
I think something you told me once about when we were talking about this before was you wanted to make it harder for Jamie and Claire. And boy, howdy, did you do it? Boy, did you make it harder on them. I've cried real tears.
Characters.
Yeah, oh. And me. I've cried real tears today. Thanks for that. You're a monster. I love you.
You're welcome. I love you too. Anyway, I'm not great at taking compliments, so
that's okay. I'll keep throwing them at you. I'll stop making you uncomfortable now. Have we missed anything? Do we have? I'm looking at our notes. Possibly the least coherent episode we have ever recorded.
No, I think we got everything.
I think we got it. I kind of expected to do more of the boner scale, but it's fine. I don't think I can go back at this point.
We kind of went in another direction, and it's all good.
I hope y'all had half as much fun as we had, because I'm like, I'm now perspiring because I've been laughing so much. Also, it's June as we record this.
Yes. You won't be listening. It'll be even hotter when you listen to this in like July. So
I hope your AC is working. All right. Thank you everyone for letting us talk at you for the last 35 minutes.
Yeah,
totally ish. It's a half hour ish. This has been fun. I enjoy our chats.
I do too. I love it. I like talking about stuff that and I don't want to say it like, oh, nobody's talking about it. Like, right. Oh, we're so cool and superior. But I like that we get into things that, offer a different perspective, or just dive into things that maybe aren't generally discussed as much, in the fandom.
Yeah, I like taking apart the side characters and the backstory and the future story and the made up story. It's all fiction. It's all made up.
Love it. All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you so much. We will talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye. This podcast is not affiliated with Outlander, Sony, Starz, and definitely 100% not with Diana Gabaldon. All opinions expressed are our own, and we may not even believe them ourselves. In fact, nothing in this podcast should be taken seriously as a general rule. We may not even be real people. Does this podcast even exist?
This podcast is not suitable for children, immature adults, homophobes, anyone who takes fandom too seriously, people who don't understand that the characters aren't real, people with sticks up their ass, people who hate fun, and people who have no sense of humor. Do not try any of these hot takes at home. We are professionals.
The FDA has not approved this podcast for human consumption. Side effects may include nausea, vomiting, the urge to send us anonymous homophobic hate, ringing in your ears, and constipation. If you experience any of these side effects, ask your doctor if dying mad about it is right for you.
If you know us in real life, no, you don't.